So let me ask you this. If you were to have a dream tonight, you ran into the 18-year-old version of you ready to go out into the world, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you give, or would you give any advice to that version of you?
I mean, I'm always one for like, I like to talk and I like to have intellectual conversations which point people in the right directions. And I would probably give you my 2 cents, which would be to not don't worry about the way other people think because it's not worth doing. If I had understood that at a much younger age, I would be far further ahead because just with that one point, you end up moving away from your true self to either put yourself in a fear state or to take actions for others rather than your actual true self. But on the flip side, I think everyone has their own journey, right? So I think I wouldn't want to change the journey that I've had because I think the difficulty, the struggles, the 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 way I've gone about it has given me a very unique perspective on life and on the world, and has got me to a point of perhaps seeing things that the majority of the world haven't seen, but yet found a way to connect the dots to raise my consciousness to bring myself closer to who I truly am. So whilst taking that information and understanding how the world works on one side, getting my consciousness to a level to now be able to utilize everything I learn for my own higher purpose, so to speak. So I don't think I would change anything. I wouldn't want to re-divert the choices I've made.
Sure. So let me ask you this. As somebody that's seen a lot of this globe, what is one of the most unexpectedly magical places that you've been to?
Yen Tu Mountain in Vietnam.
I've heard Vietnam before. I've heard that a lot.
Yen Tu Mountain, and I would go there again and I would stay there again. It was the most amazing, like peaceful, magical place. Like it's amongst nature. You're seeing butterflies. When do you ever go out and see butterflies flying around everywhere and all these colorful insects? And there was horses roaming around, and there's you're going through streams, and you can climb up a mountain. There's a cable car takes you up to a mountain, and there's temples, and you can touch trees that are 1,000 years old and touch them and feel an energy come through them. I mean, it was. I would go. I went there this year. There's one place that's just. I mean, I just felt at peace. Like it's just such a peaceful place.
Yeah.
And you don't require anything. You don't feel like you need to eat. You don't feel like you need to consume. You're just one with yourself. And yeah, that was a great place. I mean, I would say there is the what I would recommend going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, of everything that you've done in your life up to this point and evolved to and accomplished, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
I'm proud that I continue to follow my truth despite it causing me more difficulty more often than not. But I've come to learn that it's short-term difficulty for long-term. I wouldn't say the words gain. I would say long-term understanding and evolution of consciousness. Don't take the quick fixes, the easy routes out if it's not aligned with your truth, because it'll come back to bite you later.
So, of all of these places that you've been to, all of these cultures you've been immersed in, do
Mhm.
you remain hopeful for humanity?
Good question. There was an event yesterday that's potentially pivotal, right? I think humanity's awakening to a different level of consciousness because an end of a system is coming. And there is a gap in this period of time where if collectively we come together through our truth, I believe humanity could be moving in a much more positive direction. However, if we don't and we don't rise up to the lies, and that means generally just being, if we continue to be fearful, we will not evolve.
Yeah.
And therefore, people that are less evolved operate from lower states of consciousness themselves will continue to control humanity through existing systems, actually far worse than the ones we have now, to a level where there could be totalitarian control of society. That however only occurs if we choose to put our heads down, dig in the sand, and be fearful of losing things. I mean, the problem is the consumer driven society means that you're worried about paying your mortgage and paying your bills. And that, that means that you don't align yourself with your truth because you follow orders almost. I mean, a good example is in the UK right now, you see police officers like arresting grandmothers for protesting for people in Palestine or something, like 80 or like a blind man or something. These police are arresting them because they class it as political. Those police would never a million years, if they were living from a place of truth, be arresting those people. But they're doing it because out of fear of, oh, I've got to pay the bills. No, you don't have to pay the bills. Oh, I've got to keep my home to look after my kids. No, you don't. I mean, yes, I understand why you think that, but unfortunately, to break down an existing system that's created, there's going to be a certain time of difficulty and struggle in some capacity. But by doing so, we have the opportunity to rebuild the society in a positive manner. And that links back to exactly the point that I just said a minute ago. Don't take the quick, easy route if it's not in alignment with your truth. So I think, yesterday's example is a prime example of someone that chose to follow his truth, not fearfully, not from a place of fear, but from a place of his beliefs. And I think that's what has to be promoted, not the division of what's going to come already is there. It has to be, look, everyone's got different views on the world, but live from a place of truth, not from a place of fear. And I think that has to be the message. And if that is the message, I think we're in this time in history where we can actually create a better world, because the illusion of what was there before is no longer an illusion. I think before we thought we were living from a place of truth, but we were no wiser. The awakening of consciousness is happened because of the breakdown of that illusion. And now you have a choice to ignore what you truly know, but through fear, or hold on to your truth. And if as a collective we do that, then the power structures that were already in place, which are obviously now for the negative, because we're coming to the end of a system where greed and power at the forefront in these small amount of people in the world, we have the ability to change that. But to do so, you have to live from a place of truth and be not scared of the short-term pain that might be there, but on the basis of that the long-term gain, the betterment of humanity will be there. I think, look, you look at someone like Nelson Mandela. He's in prison for 35 years, and look what he did at the end of it. Look what come out of that at the end of it. That's a prime example. He wasn't fearful. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of what, how it actually occurred to come to go into prison, but the point of it is that he wasn't fearful for his actions, and then he rose up to change things for the better. I mean, that's a prime example. But we're not in a time where one person's going to change everything.
Right.
We have to, as a collective, we have to all be in a place of coming from our truth.
I totally agree. So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone that you work with, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Do you know that hexagon shape?
Yeah.
Like all those hexagons connect to the flower of life,
Uh-huh.
right? We're all interconnected, and I am just one of those little hexagons.
I dig it.
You are one of those hexagons. Your wife is one of those hexagons. The guy in India is one of those hexagons. 8 billion people who are hexagons, as well as all the animals, all everything. We're all connected. We're all something. We're all connected together. But the society we created means that we're fractured.
Yeah.
So I am just simply one piece of the puzzle that has a level of consciousness to put my role forward. I am no better or worse than anyone.